This week, I want to do something a little bit different again. It occurred to me that I've never shared with you how my plant journey started. So I found this video in my hard disk, which was made in 2017, that was 3 years ago. So this week, I want to share this video with you and show you what I did to my balcony, which started all of this. This video was made in association with ATKC e-Warehouse. Hi everyone, this is Luthien again, and this time my makeover involves an outdoor space. We have been fortunate enough to have a balcony which opens to this view nearly every evening. Wouldn't it be lovely to have a space where we can sit and watch the sunset, or even have a little picnic dinner? Since Jason and I are very much into yoga now, him more than I would like to give this balcony a kind of Zen bohemian look. Maybe it will coax me to practice my asanas more. Jason also likes to use this space to write, especially in the night. As such, I would like to incorporate a workspace for him. Let's see what I can come up with. I'm going to divide this makeover into several small projects: painting, project deck, fold-up table, vertical planter, and faux tile accent. Before we start, let's have a look at the before of our balcony. I wanted to start off by adding some colours to the stark white walls, but I also didn't want to affect the facade of the building when observed from the outside. So the colour had to go onto the walls that the outside world wouldn't see. The girls took it upon themselves to sort the painting out for me one evening, and I must say, they did it in style. Thank you, girls. In part 2, I'm building a mini deck for my balcony using an old table at its base. However, for the top of the deck, I needed a sizable amount of new timber, and I knew that most of my budget would go there. But luckily for me, when my favorite online hardware store ATKC heard about this, they offered to sponsor me all the wood I needed to build my deck. You can imagine how happy I was when I heard the news. So thank you ATKC for your generosity, and now let's go build my deck! The foundation of the deck was a salvage attempt at this table that we already had in the balcony. I removed the tall legs and replaced them with several shorter ones. The table makes a solid foundation and was the perfect height. The only one drawback was that it couldn't fill the whole space, so I had to build some extra framing. I cut and put together some 2x2s into frames to fit that awkward space between the table and the wall. I drilled pilot holes and then secured the frames to the table as well as mount them onto the wall. Altogether, I built 3 frames. Notice I also added more legs at strategic places under the frames. The next day saw me lining up the 1x4 timbers for decking. I'm so happy that ATKC gave me all these timber to use as I please. Definitely saved me some cash. I opted to secure them to the table at full length first, then only cut off the excess. I made pilot holes and used 2-inch screws to secure the timber onto the base. To cut using a jigsaw, I chalk lined a straight line onto the timber. I then clamped on a length of wood as guide to my jigsaw. This was the really fun part, especially when the timber started falling off one by one. Since my jigsaw couldn't cut all the way to the wall, I had to cut the last piece of timber on its own, and then secured it to the base. After that is done, I move on to the small frame at the back. I decked that part but purposely left the front 2 frames out. I wanted to make the front part of the deck removable. That is because my drainage pipe sits right under the middle frame. Should there be a need for any future repairs to the drain, I would be able to remove that part of the deck. I also decided to put a front panel to the deck. I secured extra panels with some wood brace on the inside. I added 2 metal brackets on the outside for more reinforcement. And if you're wondering what that hole is for, it gives my finger an extra place to grip onto when I have to remove the panel. On the other side, I made it so that I can flip the front panel open, giving me access to some storage space under the deck. Other features that I added were a low wood brace inside the front panels and a cabinet door magnet. The construction is complete and it's time to smooth down the wood. I've always wanted a sander but never got one. You can imagine how delighted I was when I found out ATKC also had tools for hire. This is an orbital sander, thus for smoothing out wood. Sanding was a breeze. It is also very easy to use. Even my baby girl can operate it. Wood sanded, it's now time for staining. I experimented with various water-based stains that I still had from previous projects. I ended up with this mix: golden pine and red mahogany. First, I rubbed a diluted golden pine stain into the wood, and then I layered it with red mahogany. I did this back and forth, and the end result is a beautiful golden caramel color. Reminds me of old wood. Just beautiful. I designed and drew a stylized lotus to be used as stencil on my new deck. After cutting out the design, I sprayed a light coat of adhesive and secured the stencil onto the deck. I used acrylic paint and stippled my design onto the wood. And I'm utterly pleased with the result. Finally, it is time to add protection to the deck. With a sponge brush, I applied 3 coats of polyurethane onto the deck, allowing 3 hours of drying time between coats. I cannot believe I actually pulled this off. No plans, it was all just in my head. My husband Jason is a filmmaker. He also writes his own movies and he loves to write at night. His favorite place to retreat to in the wee hours of the night is the balcony. So now I'm going to build him a table next to the deck so that he can sit and write, and when he's done, the table will fold up neatly against the wall. I started off by cutting a tabletop out of a piece of blockboard which I had recycled from a previous project. I painted it in turquoise, a color that I love but never dared to use within the house. I thought the balcony would be a perfect place for such a vibrant color. I then attached the table legs using 2x1s that I have measured and cut to size. I've also stained the wood prior. Within the table legs frame, I stenciled the Sanskrit symbol Om to go with the Zen Bohemian theme. I made indents in the wood so that the hinges would sit flush to enable the legs to sit flat on the surface. Since this is a fold-up table, I only needed one side of the legs to be workable. The legs on the other side are fully secured to the underside of the table. Their purpose is to complete the framed look when the table is folded up. A set of T-hinge is attached to the top side of the table, and these will be secured to the wall. On the outside wall, I began to prep the mount that the table would be sitting on. I secured 4 by 1/2 inch timbers onto the wall for a more secure mounting. Initially, I'd planned for a simple mount, but an idea came to me suddenly, and now I'm fashioning a mount that would resemble an artist's easel when the table is folded up. Or so I hope. Getting the one-sided table to stand for me while I get the level correct took some creativity. But I did it, and the T-hinges are finally secured to the mount. And then it was time to fashion the stopper from a 2x2. Sorry about my hair photobombing the screen. A hole is drilled in the center of the thick part of the stopper. You will see why in a bit. A long bolt becomes the axis for my stopper to pivot on. And voila, we have a fold-up table. My friend Amelia was having major reno work done to her bathrooms, and when her contractor ripped off all the old cabinet units, I asked her to save some cabinet doors for me, as I knew I would have use for them. I began by drilling 4 holes at the 4 corners of the rectangle window I wanted to remove. The holes will make it easier for my jigsaw blade to get through. And then I turned the door over and simply drew some guidelines. After that, it was just as simple as following the lines with my jigsaw. I repeated the process with all the 5 windows I had planned to cut out. Soon I had all the windows made and it was time to make the container to hold the soil and plants. I gathered all the recycled wood I had and picked out pieces that would fit the door. I then constructed a frame with shallow shelves inside for the back of the planter. I had to make sure that the shelves coincided with the windows on the door. Then I attached the door to the frame. Finally, I added 2 metal braces behind, which works well for hanging too. The planter was pretty heavy, I must say. If I were to do another one, I think I would stick to using lighter wood. Anyhow, I'm thrilled with the results, especially when it costed me nothing at all. Everything on this planter was either given or salvaged. Here's how it looks empty. But with a little bit of soil and succulents, I've a pretty cool wall piece, don't you think? I found this new product online which I thought was quite interesting. These are stickers in tile size and they're printed with beautiful motifs. You simply just peel and stick them onto your tiles. So this is what I'm going to be using for our floor. For the floor accent, I basically did 2 things. First, I created a border with some paint, and then I applied the peel and stick product that I got from the internet. I chose one which was compatible with the size of my tile, which was 20 cm. Easy peasy, and in no time it was done. Well, this completes my balcony makeover. I'm sure in time I'm going to be adding more things, but for now I'm really happy with the results. Now the family has a place to come and watch the sunset, and Jason has a place to write in the night. So one of the main questions that have always been asked is if the deck has been holding up. So as you can see, it has. Even though this is pine wood, it's softwood, but it has held up quite well in the balcony. Now on the other hand, the peel and stick tiles have not. But it's expected because they are just paper, so I've just removed them beginning of this year because the edges was actually peeling and the laminate on top of the tiles were actually bubbling up due to the heat. So I just removed them and it came off clean, so that was really good. And if I need to add another feature here, I can just buy another 9 pieces of sticker and just stick it there. And as for the paint, yep, paint don't work on tiles, but it was just a feature. Again, if I needed to paint it back, I could just easily paint it back. And the table is still working. My husband still sits here in the night and writes, which is great. The succulent planter, however, has been removed and replaced by these plants that will grow better on this wall, because there's just not enough light intensity on this wall for succulents. So I think aeroids and this peperomia is doing very well on this wall instead. So yeah, this balcony makeover was indeed the catalyst. It started with a makeover just for a space for the family to enjoy, and ended up with this and more plants inside. So guys, thank you again for coming along on my journey this week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please give me a subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will leave you with a glimpse of my balcony garden currently. See you soon.